Hello, and welcome back to another episode of the Minnesota State Park Hiking Club Trail Series. Today, we traveled to Fort Snelling in St. Paul, Minnesota. Fort Snelling is a historic fort built on a bluff overlooking the Minnesota and Mississippi's rivers connection. It's a strategic position that allowed the fort to control traffic along the waterways. It didn't become a state park until much later, in 1961, but remains a popular recreation destination to this day. There's ample area to enjoy yourself outside at this park, with 18 miles of hiking trails, 5 miles of paved bike trails that connect to the much larger Big Rivers Regional Trail and Grand Round Scenic Byways. There are also 10 miles of specific mountain biking trails and 12 miles of groomed cross-country skiing trails in the winter. The wildlife at Fort Snelling is abundant. There are white-tailed deer, several of which I saw during my hike. Foxes, woodchucks, turkeys, and coyotes are just some of the various animals you could see while you're hiking on this trail. There's also a particular variety of snake here that can easily be confused with a rattlesnake. It's called a fox snake. It's pretty safe to not assume that it's a safe snake and ensure that you keep your distance as you would with any other wildlife, just in case you see one. There is also several varieties of turtles, snapping, painted, and soft shells, and turtles like that. The environment around the park, and especially Pike Island, is a forested floodplain. There are cottonwood, silver maple, ash, and willow trees along the trail. The most impressive feature is by far the size and age of some of these trees. As it's in a floodplain, the area is relatively untouched, and if not for the obvious bridge in the beginning or the occasional loud party boat floating by, you'd have no idea that you're right next to the Twin Cities Metro. It's a wonderful place to take a peaceful walk or a wilderness run. The hiking club trail starts out by the visitor center and takes you to the river and around the area before crossing over the river into Pike Island. The bridge across the river to Pike Island is worth a moment to sit in, take it in. It's a beautiful scene, and especially on sunny days, a perfect place to watch the reflections in the water and the clouds float by. The trail takes you along the perimeter of Pike's Island, which is a 4-mile trail, and although the parking lot was nearly full, we only saw people on the trail periodically, maybe every 10 minutes or so. So while you will be seeing people, you'll be in the peace of nature for the majority of the trail. It is 4 miles, though, so don't forget to bring your water, or by the end, you'll be feeling it for sure. The tree cover isn't complete, and you're in the woods enough for both sunscreen and bug spray to be recommended for this trail. At the time of our hike, there were wild grapes hanging onto dead trees. One particular section had a fallen tree leaning over the trail, and rather healthy-looking grapevines stretched across the trail and filled the air underneath with a sweet fragrance of grapes. Other cool features we noticed are all the trails by the river. You can kind of see the exposed roots of the larger trees. Signs of erosion, no doubt, but also the trees themselves were still up for the most part, and seeing that kind of exposed root system is just really cool. The wildlife is also very active, and I saw half a dozen deer, and I was also fortunate enough to see an eagle snatch a fish out of the water, kind of right at the point of Pike Island where the Minnesota meets the Mississippi. Didn't catch it on footage, unfortunately. My favorite part of this park was a tough one to decide on. It has so many cool features. The tip of Pike Island, where the Minnesota and Mississippi flow into each other, is extremely cool. But it's the massive trees, both standing and having fallen, that take the favorite title of this particular trail. You see them almost immediately upon arriving on Pike Island, and they're there with you basically the entire hike. The trees, coupled with the endless harmonies of birds that follow you as you kind of take this hike, really make this place special and have that natural beauty. It's just astounding that it's so close to the metro, and while you're on the trail, you kind of totally forget where you are. Its location and the beauty of the forest, it's just pretty cool. Thank you for watching, and if you like this addition to the series, hit the like and subscribe buttons. Also, let us know which state park you'd like to see next.